So my first encounter with James Howell was a few years ago when I was invited. I don't know why I was invited, but I got this email from the James Howell Foundation to hear talk to Delcy Morales, the Colombian artist, and Laura Howell, Laura Barnier, and Alexis Lowry. And it was my first time in the loft and seeing all this work. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this artist must be very rigorous doing all these paintings. He's doing it here. So what's the process? I didn't know anything. So this was, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. And after that, I stayed very curious until Laura invited me to do this project. So James Howell was born in 1935 in Kansas City and died in 2014 in New York. He received his BA in literature and a bachelor's in architecture from Stanford University. And early in his career, he admired gestural paintings like Paul and not necessarily gestural paintings like Pollock, but more like Barnett Newman and color field paintings. But he also did some figurative paintings, but this was not his thing. So in 1996, he began this process, this series called Series 10, and this set is the expert, and we entitled the series this exhibition Twilight, and it's focused only in Series 10, presenting 25 works, even though we see more canvases in the exhibition. Series 10, for Series 10, Howell produced 61 works, ranging from single canvas to multiple paintings, including one set of 31 paintings. In this exhibition, our idea was to show the intensity and the richness of variation with which James Howell has treated the color gray, with a small selection of his work that would suit the given space. So to fully understand his work, we need to understand the process and his methodology. Using only square canvas divided into 4, 5, 10, 28, and 29 lines, horizontal lines, which he painted with short vertical brushstrokes. He applied the acrylic smoothly and delicately, with almost no trace of gestural painter reaction. The materiality of the brushstroke is only apparent with approaching the canvas from a side. The materiality of the brushstroke, from a distance, the paintings appear to be all gray, but when we get closer, we see the subtle progressions, and from light to dark. And for the set of multiple paintings, these two, the progression is also visible from canvas to canvas by looking at the top line. We'll explain this in a bit. So prior to starting the painting, there was sort of preparation. How mix perfectly acrylic in the different variations of the color. He used warm titanium white, ivory black, and raw umber for all manufactured in Cincinnati. He increased the precision by using the viscosity meter to equalize the water, and then extremely sensitive scale to isolate the proportions of each pigment. These measures help me to achieve the apparent of a continuous gradual movement between the tones to create infinite possibilities.
Mhm.
So I think we can now see the different rooms. Here we have these are single works, which he called unit. Something that we have to keep in mind is that he also like developed his own like dictionary or his own words. So these ones are called units, and they are installed as ruins. It's like a mode of display or an exhibition device, if we want to call it that way. I don't know if you want to say something about it.
Yeah, it's about expecting to see something and there's nothing there, and it's funny in a way that isn't readily apparent immediately. But yeah, they're individual works, but they can be displayed together in different combinations. So we chose these 5 for this exhibition, but the entire group of these works is 8 that we chose.
But these are also, they're supposed to be exactly the same, with the exact recipe, the exact color, but made in different moments. He even used the same pot of paint that he had in the freezer or fridge to repeat the painting, but of course there are some mistakes. But if we see them, we might think, oh, there's progression, and there's, yeah. If he plays with our perception.
Can you see the brushstroke? If
You can see the lines, the divisions. These are probably.
Oh, yeah. Okay, when you get close, you can.
28, 29, so around 28, 29.
But it looks almost like the brush strokes go all the way down, but it's just the little, each square is a.
Well, the brush strokes, probably he divided the square in 29 using a thread, but when he painted, he did not necessarily take one line.
Right, yeah,
They staggered,
Yeah.
and so that's the overlap makes them appear to be one brush stroke, but they're very small, short brush.
They are small, short ones, because they're staggered, they look.
And then you can see the vertical lines going across too, that's where the paint is overlapping.
Got it, oh, so that's why it's like weaving, as it was saying in the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and these are exactly the same, are supposed to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But we might see some difference, or also the lighting effects.
Yeah, and we can know that they're exactly the same because each line, she was saying the percentage of white, black, and red unit is recorded super meticulously. And so each painting, its title is a number that's the percentage of white that's in the first line of the painting. So because we know the percentage of all 3 of these colors that go throughout the painting, we know that they were at least intended to be the exact same painting.
Yeah.
And he used 6 numbers after
After the decimal.
yeah. So this one here is an individual painting, also titled with the white. So it's very, very impressive when you're in the studio and you hear Joy on the set talk about just seeing the box or the number, they know how dark or light they are. So they're talking numbers. It's very abstract for anybody that is like an outsider. And so this is one of the lightest, probably the lightest painting.
Yeah, this one and one other of this size are about this light. And I don't remember, I don't have all of them memorized, but I can tell by looking at it, this is about a 98 point something, and that's because the percentage of white is very high. These are probably in the 80s range.
No, I'm just monitoring. Yeah.
Funny because it doesn't photograph.
Where's your
well.
studio? What studio are you in?
The large one, something is like a white canvas, so when you see it in person, you can see all of the shifting subtleties of the color, especially when you move around it and you see it in different lighting.
Yeah, okay. Hot and cold.
Basically,
Yeah. Where Nate was.
Yeah, exactly. This one.
Are you sucking up that energy?
More obvious, the texture.
Sage?
This one is on
I,
canvas.
I saw like one of your relatives. Was Liam your? Who's Liam Daniel? Who's
Liam
or,
Daniel.
okay.
Oh, Liam.
Liam. He's your brother.
He did
Where did you
them
see
in
him?
some
On your
size.
feed. Some feed.
60 by 60.
Well, he's you know
40 by
about the
40, you know the sizes.
I think that's what it was.
15.5 by 15.5.
Are you gonna be there?
12 by 12 and 166 by 60. Or 60 by 60, this is the
I would love to
60
see her work.
which is the standard large size, 160 by 60, which is that one.
So not the same as that.
So this is a progression. And of course, it goes from lighter to darker. But also by looking at the top line, there's a progression. So this color here is supposed to be a little bit lighter than this line here, and it goes like that. And he also installed the works from the lighter closer to the light source. But in this case, we don't have the light source. We don't have the window. So we did it darker to lighter with these two sets, with these two progressions. So this is closer to the light source.
Yeah, like she said, this is one work, so this cannot be displayed or sold separately. All 6 canvases always have to be together.
But you can reverse them right to left.
But not mix them up.
Right.
What about the sides? Are the amounts continued onto the sides, or is it like black gray, or how would they be stretched after painting them? Or
They were wrapped onto the side, so yeah, the top line would continue onto the side.
so they were painted unstretched, or
They'll stretch, he just painted the side.
painted the sides?
But the divisions he did on the sides are less, I think, from what I know. It's not all these colors.
So it's not a continuation.
Not necessarily, it's like kind of, but it's only divided like in 5 or something like that. It's not.
And same thing here with demos. They're definitely painted, I just.
Oh, yeah. So here, it's another single work. We divided in 28 and 29. And yes, the titling of the work is very I think he would perfectly fit in the 60s and 70s, but let's say he's like a temporal, what is it, a temporal? Temporal. Non-temporal. Atemporal, yes, that is.
Sorry, yeah. This one's probably like 75 or something, and think that one, that other 25 or 35 over there is about 83. And during installation, we originally had these 225s switched, but when I was looking at them in those places, this one looked very blue. It's strange when you're like staring at these.
Yeah, I know you was
like
so well.
it was pulling so blue, so we had to switch them so that that would happen. So trying to go towards gray.
Yeah.
Also, he did not like the gray painting to look blue.
Did he want to be like neutral or?
He was neutral.
Looking for the perfect gray, like the most gray you could find, like the grayish gray doesn't necessarily exist, but that was what its goal was.
Yeah, I'm curious if you have any ideas about how we would qualify that. In other words, like the meeting point between every color and every, I don't know, like What does he define gray as?
Part of that is that it doesn't exist because the in-between, it's the space in between the things that do exist, and he's trying to capture that as closely as he can, so. I think that he knew that he would be able to achieve what he was looking for, but he just through a lot of math and analyzing the colors that he created. He was very hard on the paintings that he created too, he would destroy them, we felt like they were not up to par, but Serious Set is definitely the closest to that.
And ultimately, to decide on the gray, would it be his own eye that would tell him too blue or too? Yeah, ultimately not.
Yeah.
And was he particular about what he displayed the work against in terms of color? Because I would think like the gray would change so much, right?
Yeah, his entire the lock space was also his own and workspace. And yeah, the walls were all like he had designed the space with Diane somebody. Who's an architect, and it has cement floors, all white walls, everything is stainless steel. It's very like, perfect setting for his work. Yeah, so he was very particular about it. Yeah. He went very far. He also wore only gray clothes. And his house were gray. The TV in the kitchen is in black and white. Wow.
That really. What about his figurative work, his early work? Was that also sort of a neutral color? I wonder what happened. Do you know?
So we moved to the Pacific Northwest and we got really into boating. And so it was this time in the sea, I think, and the fog in Washington. He lived on San Juan Island, Washington, and that inspired him. These are landscapes in a way of that fog. So I think that was a big thing. And if you look at progression, when he was in school, he did a lot of figural stuff with portraits of his family. And then it started getting really abstract, lots of, like Sylvia was saying, color fields. And then he started playing with like, circular motion. So he did this point of field series with like points of light that gradually went into darkness. And then that kind of got him more interested in gradations and the in-between, and that combined with living in Washington State, we got into the grays.
Yeah, now I can see that. It was interesting to see on his face, the, earlier works that did sort of lean a little bit more green or a little bit more pink or,
The gray.
Yeah, right, it's still he found like that was the perfect where that third color comes in, it's not just black and white. And I love the description of the gradation, the lines where it's not like straight line, black, straight line, white, and straight line, the, what was it?
Burnt sienna.
Yeah, burnt sienna, they're also like arched, so the amounts sort of vary in this, soft ways. It's not like a quarter of it's like a little bit more of this and a little bit less. That was really fascinating.
And he also developed a computer program with an engineer to be more exact. And something that is very interesting is the catalog of the database he did with on how he.
The Book of
The Book of Grays.
Yeah.
The Book of Grays, but also the one with the lines and the size of the paintings. Have you seen that? Yeah. It's fascinating,
And even the lines are beautiful.
Yeah, the book is beautiful.
It's strange that he made that look so, it still feels very emotional and very, yeah.
And he collected bobs and feathers where you see the radiation of bricks.
Oh, right. So you draw inspiration from the natural object.
Yeah.
And he photographed too, right?
Yeah, he photographed.
Yeah, I feel like he photographed more in like a record keeping capacity. That wasn't his art, that was like the way to like all of his cataloging. And I guess you could say like the Book of Grays, which is a book of every gray he ever created. It's over 12,000 grays. And they're recorded by the numbers of each color that's in them.
And probably nobody understands it except us,
I guess you could say that that's not the book of Brittany's fire, but I think you can say that. It's written, right, yeah, but it sounds like very fascinating, like, art with that.
Yes,
yes.
And here we have another progression coming from lighter to darker. And also the top line is from lighter to darker, it's like the top line you can see.
Was he seeing the light and space artists on the West Coast? Because there's something not quite Mary Course about them, but especially the sequence over there, it feels a little like a Turrell, like the light sort of in the in-between of movement. And was he aware or looking at those artists at all?
I think he was aware of those
I'm
artists.
just aware, I'm not sure, but we showed in California a lot, throughout the 80s and 90s. He did like the Venice art fair and things like that. So
Yeah.
And he's been in literature, he's been compared to James Howell.
Who were his closest sort of peers as far as working, other painters working?
Who's supposed to Jeff Roberts? And he met, well, he used all the width, but also the artist,
He was good friends with Bryce Martin, right?
I don't know if you met Bryce Martin, but I don't forget the name, that paints all white.
Oh, Ryman.
Right. So he met him, I don't know, maybe 2 times.
Okay, yeah, but like as far as the back and forth, I'm just curious.
I think he
like
was-
here or.
I think he was very isolated. Yes. He was.
we moved to New York until the late 90s. So, yeah. There's on his islands in the fog, literally all of them. But also he was painting these were all painted, sorry, here or in, or both? Mostly here. These in particular are about 96 through 2005-ish, and I think one is 2011.
It's like different, like if you can make them in the Northwest, that would have been like interesting.
Yeah, built off the idea that he created in Northwest, but it's a little refined.
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally.
And this here is an art fair. And it's also like an exhibition device, like we wouldn't have done this if he used to do this exercise. He was
Like putting them
together.
to see the price.
Yes, but and the size, but we did it because he would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that is been done here is the way he.
Well, this feels like just Elber's too, right? And like the juxtaposition of like colors and how that would be so different.
Okay, could you say that again? So he would not have wanted these installed?
No,
but
yes, he would.
have wanted
Yes.
to, because, so you could see the contrast or.
Similar to the ruin, it's surprising, and it makes you evaluate each of them more carefully individually when you put them together. Yes, the contrast in both the size and the color, but it wasn't just all about contrast. So on it obviously is like a very smooth gradation, and having something like this in the middle of all of that careful gradation breaks up expectations. So
I think it also pulls out like more of the gradation in each one, because your eye kind of is matching. You know, like I see myself sort of looking at the darker or on both. It's sort of pulling them together.
And the art pair is also in his, I don't know, in his dictionary, like the kind of words he would use to call this way of describing.
And so about the very precise installation. We've moved these 3 times because they were too close together. which Joy which is James Howell, was the one who can clock or something. I can clock if it's straight and if it's the way that, the amount of inches off the ground that you would have wanted it to be, but if they're like a little bit too close or a little too far, then it was the same effect.
Right, the space between.
But also you can create they look low or you have the train eye.
Was he very mathematical about like the spacing, like mathematical or just visually balanced? Each of them is 59 inches. The center of each canvas is 59 inches.
Okay, and then like the space between, would that have been measured in one through that?
I could find the record of it. That's
You
why
can
I have to kind of experiment.
Yeah.
There might be.
I just wonder if he's that precise.
They depend on it.
So these are all works on paper, they're all framed, so. Nobody can touch them. We have drawings, we have prints, we have different techniques here. But probably the most interesting for the viewer are these two that are not the gray paintings. So this is the amount of gray, the amount of white, black, and ivory.
For sienna,
And cyan, yeah.
white and black, yeah, and then there's the control line on the left, and you can see the middle line is slightly curved.
Y and X would be here.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, wait, it's a, like
Yeah.
like a.
Yeah, it's like a graph.
A graph, thank you.
yeah,
And this is for one painting, right?
Yes.
And he did this for every painting?
So like, or not for every painting, he might have had like a study that was maybe like a sketch like
Okay.
this for each painting, but something like this that did work.
and the computer program would help.
Is this paint or ink or what is the line made from?
This is Lanaquarelle, so it's like printed.
Okay, so it's printed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a different, it's the same as the painting, it's just a different language.
Yeah, totally.
So this painting, he basically used the same amount of white and then increased the black, and then the sienna is like the slightly orange one. Something like,
Yes.
because the black would increase, right, so.
Mhm. Yeah, it is increases as it goes down.
Is there one of the numbered one, is that related to this particular piece, or is that a different?
No, it's a different one. But it's the same thing, so we'll have the 68.69 that would match a painting that would be 69.70, so we run up the painting titles. And so the first column is the amount of white, the second column is the amount of black, and then the third column is the amount of red sienna. And so this is like code basically to create a painting. And so it has, like, you would mix the 3 percentages in that first line of numbers to create the first line of the painting. So that's like each band is each row of numbers.
So the burnt sienna is added to cut the blue, is that what you were saying before? Yeah. This is so interesting, there's a color mixed in to make the gray.
Yeah. The perfect gray.
Yeah, so just putting it out.
And then this isn't like a soloist project where anyone could then follow this recipe, right? This was really for him. This isn't
Yeah.
anyone can make a James Howell.
Its own code, sort of.
Right, and archiving and a record and a recipe and a draft.
Yeah, it's like Robert Swain. has a number for every color, the artist, Bob Swain.
So,
Anyway, he's a color field painter, similar, but he has his own index of color, and each one has a number.
Oh, wow.
There's a correlation.
Yeah.
But they also have the date after the number, right? Because
not in these, but in the title, yeah, the title has the date after the number because he'll have so many paintings that have the same title. Because there's different paintings and use the same amount of white for his band. So the only way we can differentiate them is through the date. And so we have to be very, very careful that we're not mixing things up and something that got mixed up that has the same. Like the ruins, if we mix those up, yeah, we do like, we would never get them unmixed, so, yeah. Oh my gosh, you must see gray everywhere. I dream of gray.
and Joy, the widow, also dressed in gray.
Yes, she
And
does.
gray hair.
Gray hair,
Gray
gray fingernails, yeah.
Gray.
So these are like studies that are a part of this process for creating a painting and so with these, so this is a gradation, it's pastel on paper.
This one,
So,
in some way must heighten your sense of color so much when you surround yourself with only black and white and gray. That's how they lived and dressed and everything. And stepping out of their house, there's a garden across the street. That must have been like a shock.
But you would see them from the window.
yeah, it's very overstimulating.
They even have a cookbook of gray, or gray.
Like great food?
Yeah.
I can think of any great food actually. off the top of my head.
Part of the song.
That's fucked up. You know what? It's weird, I don't know, at least I see all of this as like the residue of this process and the process and the investigation of finding this gray HB art. Yeah, so this is just something to adapt with that work. And what you said about seeing a lot of like emotion in the numbers is interesting, especially in the graphite, you can see his hand in it.
Yeah, it's still feels so tactile and so raw in a way.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of time to get into that, but it's.
So it's eight gradation, it's teeny tiny little lines. And also just a part of his study and familiarizing himself with gradations.
Did he ever work with textile or no? No, just paint and canvas.
Does he know the grades and months? Like, can he go around and say, that's how that grade is made, or the grades in your address, right? I'm sure he could have. I just have to ask Joy and explain it to them.
Something that's curious in the paintings in there with the rows of gradation is that your eye doesn't ever really get caught on a row necessarily, like it's, they sort of have, then it causes a field or an aura, like, but I was bringing up Robert Swain before, but his gradations were a little bit more between each color. So then your eye would really, when you're looking at the painting, you really see the grid, underlying grid. Whereas so I was just wondering if he was trying to, it's like he's simultaneously trying to emphasize that there's a certain unit of mark and interval and so on, but also kind of conscious of whether your eye gets caught on that or not.
Yeah, the whole thing is perception and
Yeah.
like the viewing experience, how people perceive grades. So yeah, he wanted it to be created through these units, and that was important part of the materiality, but he wanted it still be able to be perceived as like a flowing, radiating.
field or-
Yeah. And so this is a limit study, and it's a similar idea to the odd pair, when you're thinking about the way they create contrast with each other.
Is this the top and the bottom color of a painting? Is that what these are?
I think so.
So he's taken out all the in-betweens. We're seeing the top row and the bottom row.
Oh,
Cool.
wow.
The extremes of, yeah, that.
Yeah,
range.
it's like the
Within
parentheses
painting,
or the
yeah.
brackets.
But you wouldn't have thought they'd be that extreme.
Right.
Looking at
Very
the words,
subtle,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And is it the same idea with these?
Yes, yeah, so these are block drawings, which is actually, this is also our logo, is the box with the cross in it. And yeah, it's also just about contrast, about like the limits of the gradations being flown out so that you can see them next to each other.
These are drawings.
Yeah, this is acrylic, I'm sorry, not drawing, this is acrylic. We often call them drawings, like everything else.
Right.
Are they, what's the line for this? Was it two pieces?
Probably just take.
It's tape, oh,
It's
it's
like
like
a
tape
V,
line.
and it's like pushing your thing in.
This is really, I'm like such a beginner, but like, do you guys feel like those are warmer than these? If these are cooler and these are warmer? Is that?
I feel that way. I think it probably have more of that burst in the color in them. So I don't know when you came in, but they're all made of black, white, and burnt sienna. So that brown color is part of them trying to accomplish this perfect gray, and just black and white can be too cool or too blue all the time. And so that brown, yeah, so. I don't know off the top of my head, the percentages of the colors in each of these, but
that's really helpful.
I was curious. And then this is another limit study, it's just a darker one, I really like this one. Study.
Well, like probably because it's like so different.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly, that's why I like the 60 by 60 as well, because it's
Yeah.
the only one.
Yeah.
And the little dark and odd pair that one.
Yeah.
So we sold one, I was really sad, but we haven't. So.
And you said, are these additions?
What do you mean addiction? It's like,
1 out of 10.
I think that these are single words, these ones, and also this is one word, these three.
Did you have comments on like our reflections on the glass and how like that changes the like the colors that you put down?
I don't think so.
I don't know, it's really, that's a good question, I will ask Joy, but I know that he went to the same framer his whole life. He was like very serious about the kind of frame that he used, but it's a good question.
Was it always this? Always the same?
Yeah, it's always the same. Yeah, and he was serious about the light and stuff too, that was around it.
Did he prefer like natural and light or whenever
natural
possible?
Hopefully you can go to the studio.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, we can make the time like when we're better for more people.
Yeah,
Try to
try to
get
get
people
exactly.
to the studios.
Yeah.
They want architectural prize along.
Yeah, it did, yeah, Deborah Burke, I think was her name, I was trying to remember earlier. Yeah, and like you, or something like that. Yeah, it's very impressive space, for sure.
Yeah.
It really is an extension of him. Yeah, and the only one we haven't seen is this thin line gradation in here. And this one's fun, it's really is like a kind of deconstructed painting, it's like the closest to the paintings out of all of these.
How long would it take him to paint, let's say, one of the biggest canvases in the show? Because he would start at the top and work down, right?
He would do a line, one line, not without making any stuff,
Okay.
but I don't know how, if the entire painting.
I wonder if I've ever actually asked it. I know that when I'm cataloging this series, the progressions, they'll be a few days apart. A lot of the time, so I'll have like one dated like 2 days before the next one, and that's 3 days before the next one, so I think.
Is there a relationship between each of the populations, like you actually use the same numbers to change it? Like if you start one population finish, is there a relationship to the next one?
Well, if it is
Yeah.
a progression.
Well, it's the same, yes, but if it's a new one, is there like similar or not, or it's just each one is completely different?
Some of them are the same, some of them have the exact same colors in them, or at least the same first line, and I think it just depends on whether he was more interested in the lighter ones and the darker ones at that time, so I don't think there was from one project to the next,
It's not like a progression, not
he
like.
didn't start doing lighter at the beginning of the series, and then by the end of the series, they were all
Oh, okay, it's not, it's just like those back and forth.
Yeah.
But there's a progression of 31.
But that's the largest set, yeah. Does it need to be in a one wall or could be in a room?
Well, they can be in different walls, like, yeah, because when we were working on the exhibition, Joy said that a progression could be in 2 walls. But
Any other questions for Lizette or Sylvia, our curator?
thank you.
Thank you both. This was terrific.
Thank you so much.